Evita was 29, a beautiful young woman from Queensland. But despite her stunning good looks, she felt insecure about her body. So last year, Evita decided to have cosmetic surgery, a relatively minor procedure. And like thousands of other Aussies, she went overseas, where it was a lot cheaper. But Evita had no idea her foreign doctor had an atrocious record of botched operations and suspicious deaths. Tragically, she would become his next victim. Denham Hitchcock has our special investigation.
My name is Andrea. I'm 35 years old and I'm from Queensland. My beautiful sister died here in Mexico last year all alone. I flew over to investigate what had happened, and today I'm here to confront the man who watched her die.
You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Now there's going to be nothing between you and him.
I'm nervous, but I feel ready, and I'm hoping for something real to happen.
The man she's been waiting a year and a half to confront is Victor Ramirez.
Hola, soy el doctor Víctor Ramírez, médico cirujano.
He's one of Mexico's most celebrated plastic surgeons, a man with money and influence, a flashy Mercedes-Benz, and a list of victims that should have put him in prison a long time ago. Okay, Dr. Ramirez, I'd like to talk to you about the death of an Australian girl.
Once she was born, I felt like I wasn't alone anymore. She was the closest person I had to me.
They grew up in Queensland, two girls soaking up the Gold Coast sun. You must have been a very proud mum.
Yes, I was. When Evita was born, Andrea treated her like a doll, and she loved her.
We were everywhere together all the time. Everything I did, she did.
And you can tell even from that very early age, she had a natural beauty about her.
Oh my goodness, that was really hard because up until when she was 13, I was the queen, obviously. She was always beautiful as a kid regardless, but then she just became stunning. And me and Mum were like, okay, we've literally been, traveled down an issue. And with every year, she just became more and more beautiful, more and more beautiful.
As they grew up, the inseparable sisters were joined by Sophia, the three of them at Griffith University on the Gold Coast.
I immediately was just absolutely amazed by not just her physical beauty, but what a beautiful person she was.
And she didn't just have the looks. Evita spent 3 years studying to get a theology degree, then another 3 for a degree in international business. She paid for it herself by managing a cafe, lots of friends, some modelling in her spare time. From the outside, her life seemed flawless. We all have our insecurities, things about ourselves that we want to change. You're a sister, you knew her best. Did she feel that there was something about her that was wrong? Did she voice any concerns to you?
We joked a lot about wanting Brazilian butts. It wasn't serious, it really wasn't serious.
If anywhere is going to give you a complex about body image, it's the Gold Coast. But even here, Evita stood out.
Eva never presented having low self-esteem. She was quite confident. But I think perfectionism may have been part of it.
Did Evita tell you that she was heading to the United States?
Yes, she told me that she go for holiday for 3 weeks.
It was just a trip, like she was going away and she was coming back. That's all it was. It wasn't like anything major.
So as far as the family knew, this was just a regular trip to the US, a holiday?
Yeah, and she was going to come back. That was it.
The truth was, Evita's holiday was a cover story. She was also going for a cosmetic procedure in Mexico. This would be Evita's final destination, the city of Mexicali, 3 hours drive inland from Tijuana. It is a city in the middle of a desert. There is nothing really remarkable about this place. There's no CBD, there's no tall buildings, it's flat, it's incredibly dry, and it's hot. 48 degrees right now. It's the last place on Earth you'd expect to find a cosmetic surgery capital, but it's in the world's top 10, and it's growing. In Mexico, it's a $4 billion industry fueled by foreigners. Lured by the promise of an experienced surgeon at less than half the price. Evita was just one of 15,000 Australians who travel overseas for surgery every year. Evita went for an operation called a Brazilian butt lift. It involves taking fat from the midsection using liposuction and moving it to the rear. The surgeon is Dr. Victor Ramirez. On the surface, well regarded, even promoted in a government brochure on medical tourism. The brochures are glossy, the websites, the clinics look professional, it's half the cost. It looks good and it sounds good.
Everything sounds good except the little traps. So it's one of those things, everything goes well, perfect, everyone's happy. When things go bad, Russian roulette. Hi, Sky.
Dr. Kurosh Tavakoli is the man to see when that luck runs out. He's a plastic surgeon in Sydney, and almost 1 in every 3 of his clients is there to fix a botched operation, the majority from overseas.
Show me the double bubble, Sky. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, that's quite significant, yes.
And I feel as if it's slipping out
It's
underneath.
got bottoming out.
My nipples pointing out this direction, the right breast.
That's 3-4 hours of reconstruction.
Oh my God. Hi Sky, we're loving watching you on TV. Everybody loves you.
You might remember Sky Wheatley from Big Brother. These days, her income is mostly from social media. Sky's operation was done in Thailand, Australia's #1 destination for cosmetic surgery. Why Thailand?
Why Thailand? Because it was the cheapest and easiest, and I wanted it done right away. I think I rushed into it. So much regret. So much regret. I think that it's just such a mess, and if I could go back and have my natural breasts back, I would.
In the worst cases, what can happen?
I think the worst case is you can die. It's that simple. You're putting your life on the line in order to save the dollars, and the risk is huge, and it's not worth it.
Evita Sarmonikas also took that risk. She was wheeled into surgery on a Friday morning, March 20th last year. Her sister Andrea was back in Australia with their good friend, Sophia. Where were you when you got the phone call?
She just said, Evita's dead, Andrea. I said, what? What? And I looked at Sophie, like Sophie was looking at me, and I just said, come. I said, just come. She's like, what? Like, I couldn't express. I was like, what are you saying? What? She goes, Evita is dead. Just like that.
I knew something was really wrong. And then she got off the phone and it was just surreal. It was like it wasn't real. It couldn't be real.
Just hoping that, okay, if I go, I'll find her and I'll bring her back home. But going to see Mum, I was like, how do I tell my mum?
She said that Evita was in Mexico. So I said, it's impossible. Evita is in Los Angeles. And Andrea said, Mom, Evita, she died.
And she just started to scream, no, no, no. And then the chaos begins.
The autopsy was carried out by the police forensic department. Soon afterwards, the family was contacted and told the cause of death was a heart attack during the operation. She was fit, she was young, she was healthy, and back home in Australia, they were instantly suspicious.
You get this insistence on cremating her body. They want to cremate her body, they want to cremate her body. And I was like, okay, yes, just let me get things organized. I was like, okay, I'll help get the body over. And then I'm like, you're gonna send my sister's body back in a coffin without letting me know exactly what went on? And I was like, no, something is wrong.
Andrea boards the next flight to Mexico and starts gathering evidence, insisting on a second, independent autopsy. The results couldn't be more different.
I knew that something was wrong. And then when the forensic came, she goes, Andrea, they perforated her lungs 5 times.
Her lungs were punctured 5 times.
She didn't die from a pulmonary embolism. He punctured her lung and she couldn't, the holes couldn't hold her air.
Liposuction is performed with a long metal tube called a cannula, removing body fat like a vacuum. The autopsy reveals the cause of death is internal bleeding from consecutive perforations to the right lung caused by the liposuction cannula. Severe and fatal trauma that was covered up by Ramirez.
He killed my sister. He killed my only sister. And they want me to just forget it.
This is a copy of the second autopsy that was done, organised independently by the family. I just want you to read the result there.
Wow. Amazing. This had to be a very unusual case of lung perforation leading to hemorrhage. So this is in keeping with a severely inexperienced operator, surgeon.
How does that happen during a liposuction
Look,
operation?
I've done over 1,000 liposuction cases, and I can tell you, to puncture someone's lung with a cannula, you'd actually have to be in a completely different angle. So the cannula has to be facing down, and you'd have to go through a number of connective tissue and structures to get to the lung. So I'd say a lot of force.
Not once, not twice, but 5 times.
It's upsetting for me because I can now see why this girl passed away. To see a young Australian girl to go overseas to get this type of treatment, it's heartbreaking.
A bland 2-storey building in a rundown part of Mexicali. This is the hospital where Victor Ramirez operated on Evita, the operation that would claim her life. Up until now, Ramirez had managed to hide his past. Not anymore. And the more you look into his past, the worse the story gets.
Yes. I have to hear the stories. I have to call the women and hear their tears of how he's deformed their bodies.
Just how many victims are we talking about here?
7 women that have reached directly out to me, that he has mutilated them. They're now psychologically damaged. 3 deaths that we know of, direct evidence. Obviously, Evita is one of those. I've spoken to the other 2 families. Another 3 that we still don't know names and we still don't know causes. And we need those families to come forward.
Which makes 6 deaths in
6
total.
deaths.
That's horrific. These are the death certificates from the 3 documented cases. All 3 women underwent liposuction at the hands of Victor Ramirez. The first was Roseanne Falcon.
And then the worst phone call you could ever get. In my mind, I kept thinking, no, not my sister. It was supposed to be just a simple procedure. It wasn't supposed to be like this.
Roseanne Falcon was 52 years old. She lived in California. She has 5 sons. She couldn't afford the cosmetic procedure she wanted in the United States, so she went to Mexico to see a surgeon by the name of Victor Ramirez.
So she gets out of surgery, they roll her in. We get the phone call that she's out and that she's in her room and that she's in a lot of pain, which is to be expected. Slowly thereafter, she started complaining that she just couldn't breathe. She couldn't breathe. And the doctor kept saying, no, she's fine. She's fine. She's just having a little anxiety from her surgery.
Ramirez gave her medication for anxiety and left the hospital. Hours later, Roseanne was dead. Just like Evita, the official cause of death is a blood clot that led to a heart attack. They buried Roseanne and tried to forget.
It'll be something that I will forever have to live with, that we didn't do anything right away to avoid anyone else losing their life.
Exactly 12 months later, Evita Sarmonikas walked into the same surgery. Andrea has put her life in Queensland on hold. She's been in Mexico for more than a year and a half, but she is determined to shut down the rogue surgeon who killed her sister.
His license as a surgeon should be taken away from him. And I feel sick that right now, there's a chance that he's operating on a woman.
Her best weapon is the horrific findings from the second autopsy. It was a major breakthrough. Police had no choice but to charge Ramirez with homicide.
Señor Ramírez?
This is video from inside the courtroom earlier this year. Andrea, in the red jacket, is part of the legal team.
Buenos días todavía. Agradezco.
Unrepentant, no remorse. Ramirez even blows Andrea a kiss.
Señorita.
He pleaded not guilty, and the case is ongoing. Well, this is the clinic for Dr. Victor Ramirez, and as you can see, he's not hiding from anyone. It's incredible to think that with multiple criminal charges, including homicide, he could still be operating. But that's what we're here to find out. To help, Evita's best friend Sophia has decided to travel from the Gold Coast to Mexico. How important is it to prove that this doctor is still operating?
It's extremely important. People need to see exactly who this person is.
You're planning to go over, have a consultation with this doctor to find out exactly that?
Yeah.
This is going to be a hard thing for you to do.
It's going to be a really hard thing for me to do, to look this man in the eyes, this man that killed my friend.
Hola, buenos días. I just want to confirm the appointment that we have today for 5 o'clock.
For Antonio and Sofia?
Correct.
Yes, I have it right here with Dr. Ramirez.
Dr. Ramirez, okay, perfect.
Okay, so for consultation, we're going to have 3 cameras. So if you wear that, and that's the camera right there.
Recording.
There's 5 microphones in total. We should be able to capture everything that's there. The 2 most important questions that we really need to know are make sure that he's going to be the surgeon on the day.
Okay.
And
if he's ever had any issues with surgery before.
Perfect.
¿Me aprendedor for you?
The consultation starts like any other.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Forms to fill out. Checks to ensure a healthy patient. Then, here he is.
Don Igor, ¿cómo está?
Bien, Anthony, ¿tú cómo
Usted,
estás?
bien. ¿Su inglés cómo está?
Sophie is asking for the same procedure as Evita.
Ponga la batita.
Just take the clothes off.
Ramirez describes how he wants to reshape her body.
So what doctor is suggesting it? First, maybe we can start with the lipo.
El Brazilian butt lift.
The Brazilian butt.
Brazilian butt lift.
Then Sophie asks the first important question.
Will you be doing the surgery?
Dice que si usted es el que va,
Sí.
el que haría este tipo de
claro.
cirugía.
Sí, por supuesto, sí.
Yes.
Despite the criminal charges, the doctor is still operating. Sophie then asks about the complications.
Has that ever happened to anybody that you've operated on before?
Que si ha sucedido algo.
Sí, a todos sucede hace...
It's a risk. It's a risk that you can take. Every risk, like driving.
Out of all the people that you've operated on, have any people died?
Fallecido, sí.
Just
Sí.
that one, right?
Just one.
Sí.
He said that he got a case one time that he did the same surgery, and 14 days later, a complication came up, and that was due because she was having an appendicitis.
There's no mention of the 3, potentially 6 deaths he is responsible for. How you doing?
I'm pretty angry.
Difficult?
Yeah, really difficult.
What did he say?
He said that he's only had one death in the whole time, and that he has one patient a day.
And so you're still angry now?
He's just a liar.
Well, let's hope we can get him shut down. Would it surprise you to know that this doctor who did this is still operating even today?
It's not surprising, it's shocking. He should not be operating medicine anywhere in the world.
What would happen to a doctor in Australia if he did this?
He would be charged with manslaughter. He'd lose his license to practice medicine and much more. A surgeon that brings misery and grief to people's lives day in, day out is not a surgeon, is not a doctor, is a butcher.
In Mexico, the Office of Professions is the equivalent of our health department. This is the Undersecretary. Your department hands out the licenses for surgeons, so you would know that Mexicali is growing worldwide in terms of a medical tourism destination.
Yes, also Tijuana.
Foreigners who are thinking of coming to Mexico for operations, what would you tell them?
We have a lot of good doctors down here, very good doctors.
I'd like to talk to you about one of your doctors who's here, Dr. Victor Ramirez. Have you heard that name before?
No, I don't recall them, but...
He's a doctor, he's a plastic surgeon who operated on an Australian girl last year.
Yes, I remember.
Sarmonikas.
I remember the case. I saw it in the media. Yeah.
She died on his operating table.
Yes.
We've since found out that in a little over a year, there's been 3 deaths by the same doctor. We've got the death certificates here. This is the 3. In that same period, there's a whole string of other patients who've had work done by him, which I think you'll agree is substandard. This man is facing multiple criminal charges, including homicide.
Yes.
And yet he's still operating. Why is that?
Well, I can tell you that maybe he's, I don't know. I don't know why he's in process, why he's still doing surgeries.
Should this man still have a license?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
What can you do about it? Shouldn't you be doing something about it?
I need to find out a little bit more about this procedure.
Can your department take his license away?
I can recommend them to do it.
Will you do that for me?
Sure, I will. Now that I'm aware, I can do it, and I have to do it. This is my responsibility.
Okay. We'll follow up on your action. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So far, Ramirez is fighting Andrea at every step. If she can get him to take responsibility, Andrea can return home.
It's been a year and a half, and you're going to be staring him right in the face from very close. You ready for that?
Yes. I want him to cut this process short, otherwise he's gonna have to deal with me.
Paul, come in. Paul, do you copy? All right, mate, we're about 500 metres away, so I'll talk to you in a sec.
Stay behind the sign.
Paul, has the white Merc arrived yet?
Black C300 just pulling out now.
Okay. Dr. Ramirez, I'd like to talk to you about the death of an Australian girl, Evita Sarmonikas.
Doctor.
This is her sister. She's got some questions for you. Andrea?
I'm Evita's sister, doctor. Why aren't you telling the truth? Doctor, míreme. Doctor, míreme. Hábleme un minuto. Doctor, este es un minuto.
Any question?
Doctor, doctor, míreme. Doctor, míreme, es solamente 5 minutos. My sister is dead, and she died in his hands, and he's responsible. Let's go. I'm tired.
Andrea has pushed the case against Victor Ramirez all the way to the federal court. In December, he'll face the charge of homicide. Victor Ramirez is in his final days as a surgeon.
I know internally, if I dropped this, I couldn't live with myself. I see all those girls up there angry that their life was taken away from them at the peak of their desire to improve things, and I feel like they're helping me. I feel like they're making it happen. This doctor needs to be stopped.